Hey friends, hope you guys are doing well and you're coming along with your crochet, getting more comfortable with holding the yarn, holding the hook, making the stitches, all the things. I wanted to jump on here and show you a new stitch that you can practice. This one is half double crochet. And if you've got single crochet down, this is going to be a snap. We're just going to add a couple of extra steps and it's going to be a piece of cake. All right, so to start out, you're going to make a slip knot with your preferred method, whatever that looks like for you. And then I'm just going to do a small little swatch. So I'm going to just do 12 chains. You can make yours as big as you want, but this one's going to be small. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and then add 2 more to however long you're making your chain. So mine's going to end up being 14. So a starting chain of 12 plus 2. Those 2 extra chains are going to be a turning chain, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so the first step for a half double crochet is to yarn over. Unlike single crochet, you don't have to yarn over first, but with half double crochet you do. And then you're going to work into the 3rd chain from the hook. So remember, the chain or the loop on the hook doesn't count as anything ever. So there's your 1st chain, 2nd chain, 3rd chain. That's where you're going to go. Okay? Then yarn over again and pull up another loop. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook. Then yarn over again. Remember, yarning over is going from the back to the front over the top of the hook. Then pull through all 3 of those loops. And that is a half double crochet. Not too hard, right? Just a couple extra steps, not a big deal. Okay, let's do another one. Remember, yarn over first, then insert your hook into the next chain. If you set your work down and you get confused, remember, just kind of wiggle that last stitch and you can see that this is the stitch that you just worked into, or this is the last chain that you worked into. So this is the chain that you're wanting to go into now. All right, so yarn over, go into that next chain, yarn over again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through all 3. Now you've got 2. All right, let's do another one. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, yarn over again, pull up a loop. So now you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain. Whoops, I got some extra there. Yarn over again, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through all 3. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way down. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So not too hard, right? Basically, we're just building on what you've already learned. Adding a couple of extra steps, not a big deal. Okay, so we're getting towards the end. Whoops. And this is going to be the last chain. Sometimes those chains can tighten up a little bit, so just, be careful. All right, and that's what your first row looks like. Not too bad, right? All right, so remember when we were single crocheting, I said before you start your 2nd row, you have to build height first. Because if you don't build the height and then go, then your work ends up moving in on itself, and you don't want that. And when you single crocheted, 1 chain got you the height that you needed. Well, with half double crochet, you're going to chain 2. So this was your last half double crochet. You're going to yarn over and chain 1, yarn over again, chain 2. So that will get you the height that you need so that your work doesn't move in on itself. Then you turn your work. Remember when we talked about turning the work. I turn it toward me. A lot of people turn it away from themselves. You do whichever way you want to do. Just make sure you're doing it consistently so that your sides stay the same all the way up. All right, so now we're just going to do the same thing all the way across. We're going to go right here. Now with half double crochet, it looks a little bit different, the backs of the stitches, than single crochet. Remember with single crochet, you had your little legs right here, and then you had the top, the V. Well, with half double crochet, a little ridge develops there. So you're going to go on top of the ridge, but underneath the V. Basically, any stitch that you're going to do, basic stitches, you're going underneath the V all the time. There are stitches where you're not going to do that. They'll have you like, there's called a front post double crochet where you're inserting your hook in a different place, or sometimes they'll have you go in the back loop, or I don't want to confuse you, but just with the basic stitches, you're always going to go underneath the V. So under this ridge, or not under, over the ridge, but under the V. All right, but yarn over first. Remember, that's the first step of half double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again. Notice I'm already kind of yarned over just because of the way I hold the yarn. Grab that yarn, pull up a loop. You've got 3 on your hook. Yarn over again, pull through all 3. Yarn over, go into your next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Got 3 on your hook. Yarn over again, pull through all 3. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way down the row. So this isn't that hard, right? Like I said, we've just added a couple of extra steps. We're building on what you already knew from single crochet. So it's not that big a deal at all. Just like learning how to do anything. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Okay, this is our last one. The last one can sometimes be a little tricky to see because, you know, your turning chain is out here too, and it's kind of like almost over on its side. So just remember to kind of flip that over, and you're looking for the V. You're going to go underneath the V. This is your ridge right here. Like I said, it's kind of curling over a little bit. Don't let that trip you up. Just flip it over, look for the V, and go underneath that. Oh, except I did yarn over. Okay, yeah, don't forget to yarn over first. Underneath the V, grab your yarn. You've got 3 on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3. All right. Not bad, right? Okay, so we're going to chain 2 to get our height. Now I'm going to show you one other way that people like to start their rows. You're always going to chain 2 and turn your work. Some people, rather than going into this first half double crochet and starting there, sometimes people like to count this turning chain as the first stitch. And in those cases, rather than going into this first stitch, you're going to go into the second stitch, okay? So you would yarn over and go into the second and go all the way across. I'm just going to do that, but I want to show you what that looks like, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. Again, remember with crochet, there's a lot of personal preference involved. Some people, that's their preferred method, and that's okay. It's just not my preferred method. So, but I don't want you, like if you see that on a pattern or something, I don't want it to confuse you. I just want to make you aware of that being a possibility and also what that looks like. Okay, so I'm chaining 2 and turning my work. And so again, with that chain 2, if it's counting as the first stitch with the pattern, whatever pattern you're using, that means you're not going to crochet into this first stitch because it's going to kind of sit on top of it, so to speak. So you're going to crochet into this second stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, and then just, you know, single or a half double crochet like usual. Let me get to the end and I'll show you why I don't like this. Okay, so this is your last half double crochet, and this is your turning chain. And the reason I don't like it is because sometimes you can forget to crochet into that when you're first beginning, or if you do remember, sometimes it's just hard to see where to stick your hook. If you're reading a pattern and it calls for you to do this, I would highly recommend using a stitch marker in the top of that turning chain so that you know, just as a reminder that it's there, and so you kind of know where to stick your hook, okay? So this is the last stitch. That one's not too difficult to see. Whoops, except I did that all wonky. Let me try that again. Okay, so if your turning chain is counting as your first stitch, then you're going to go into the top of that turning chain for your last stitch, okay, which is like right here, and it's really tight and not always fun to work into. Sometimes you just have to like spread it apart with your fingernails, and this is why I don't like it, first off, okay. But also notice that it's kind of gappy, whereas down here it's not. Here, I've got two samples and I'll just show you the differences laying side by side or one on top of the other. So this top sample, let me flip these around so they're facing the same way. This top sample is the first method that I showed you, where you're just chaining two and you're going into the very first stitch, that first half double crochet. This one is where I have used counted the turning chain as the first stitch and gone into the second stitch. And you can see, like, it's just, I don't know, it's gappier, and I don't like it. So I dislike this method, number one, because it's easy to miss that stitch and it's hard to work your hook through. And number two, because it leaves gaps on the side, and I just don't like the way that looks. But, you know, if you like this method, do this method. It's not wrong, it's just a different way to do it. And I wanted to show you so that if you saw someone else doing that, you wouldn't get confused. I've also seen people, rather than chaining two up just for half double crochet, they'll chain one because they like it. It's even tighter and a little more compact on the sides. You can do that, but the stitch kind of not turns in on itself, but it's just a little, because it's shorter, it's a little bit harder to see than if you chain two. But if, you know, you could try it, and if you like the way that looks better, you could do that. I will say though, if you decide to do just a chain one for your turning chain, rather than doing two extra on your starting chain, just do one extra, and then go in, when you start, go into the second chain from the hook rather than the third chain from the hook. So anyway, all right, that's all I know for now. And I hope this helps, and you have a new stitch to practice, and we're just gonna keep adding. And then next time we'll talk about double crochet. There's also a treble. I mean, I might show you how to treble, but I have literally never done a treble crochet because those stitches are really tall and they make for really gappy work. And I don't know. I don't like really holey work. That's just my personal preference, because, you know, if you're making a blanket, like, what's the point of having a blanket if it's just really holey and you're going to feel a breeze through it? So I don't know. Again, personal preference. So, but anyway, I'll teach you how to double crochet next time. And then we can start using these stitches in combination with each other to create some really pretty textures and stuff. So anyway, all right, I will talk to you guys later. Stay cool. It's brutal again outside today. So stay in the AC, crochet, take it easy, stay hydrated, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.